Yes, my friends, welcome back. Breaking news this afternoon. We are set to sign a Brazilian wonder kid from Santos for 50 million. Who exactly is Angelo Gabriel? What is the story? And most importantly, how good is he? So many things to discuss and break down in today's video. I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button if you guys are excited by this news, of course, and share your thoughts and opinions too. Before we get into anything, today's video is sponsored by OneFootball. My friends, this is exactly why I keep telling you to download OneFootball, because for stories like this that break from absolutely nowhere, you can get a quick insight and understanding behind who exactly these players are. As you guys can see on screen, go to the search bar, follow FC Santos. Once you do so, go to the squad page right here, scroll down to attacking players, and right here, Angelo Gabriel. 18 years old, he weighs 65 kilograms, 173 centimeters, but I think some reports said he's like 181 centimeters, closer to 6 feet. But regardless, we can get an understanding behind his current season, because OneFootball stats are powered by Opta, and his shooting accuracy and pass accuracy are decent. He's only got 2 goals scored this season, but as we scroll down, we can get a deeper understanding behind his statistics. And for me, I think a key area in this guy's game is definitely his dribbling ability. The guy is very direct, and already this season he has completed 28 dribbles. Of course, my friends, this is why I keep advocating for OneFootball to stay up to date to stories like this and to inform yourself on players that you might not have heard of. So if you guys want to help yourselves out, there's a link below in the description and in the QR code on screen too. As today has been developing and progressing, we've now signed him for £15 million, and right now he signs for us on a 6-year deal, so that gives us plenty of time to safeguard his development, and hopefully one day, fingers crossed, he doesn't become like a Lucas Piazon or a Kennedy and actually becomes more of a success like an Oscar or a Willian or Luis, or like the great Brazilian players that we've had playing for us over the past few years. And normally, my friends, when you are getting like Brazilian journalists dropping news like this out from nowhere, you know that we've been cooking something behind the scenes. And as we've known for a long time now, we are really paying great attention to the South American market. We are really paying attention to finding the next great talents for like ridiculous affordable fees. And when you think about the multi-club network model we're starting to build, this is going to be the main benefit of this new model and this new strategy. Scour South America, sign these young players, and provide like the first stepping stones into European football, by of course owning the asset as well. So you know what, I'm really excited by this news, and of course this report was first broken by a Brazilian journalist in Vene Casagrande, and he was the journalist that first broke the story by revealing that we are very close now to signing Angelo Gabriel for £50 million. Now if you guys are like football nerds like me, I'm sure you guys are regularly playing Football Manager every single season, and I'm sure that this name is not a surprise to you, because if you use him in your saves, he ends up developing and really becoming a great player in game. But to give you guys more context behind this story, we have to discuss Barcelona's involvement in this. Now, when they signed Neymar from Santos back in 2013, they agreed like a first refusal rights, of course, to sign talents from Santos, and since that agreement with Neymar, they haven't exercised any of their rights to sign any talents from Santos. We've seen guys like Kyle Joge, a guy that we were once linked with up front, now goes to Juventus. Of course, Rodrigo signing for Real Madrid, and other special talents like centre-back Kike Fernandez who went to Almeria, and now Angelo Gabriel. Now the reason why Barca dropped out the race to sign him was because they have financial issues and they couldn't afford to sign him. They are now focusing all their attentions on signing Vitor Roque, and interestingly enough, the arrangement now between Barcelona and Santos is set to end. And I remember a few months back that we held discussions with Santos over the possibility of them becoming part of our multi-club network model. And now I'm wondering, could talks actually happen again? Because if we had access to a club like Santos, this could boost our scouting network even more and give us like an amazing opportunity to sign even more talents from that region. Now earlier this year, Gabriel actually changed his agents and his reps, and he's now signed with Giuliano Bertolucci, a guy that we've had a lot of history with. We've done a lot of deals signing his players, and actually he came, a bit close to signing for Nottingham Forest in the January window. And as we saw at Nottingham Forest in January, they signed a lot of Brazilian talents from the league, but it was actually, Angelo Gabriel who decided not to take that move to Nottingham Forest because he has higher ambitions. And it's a very good thing that this guy waited, because right now he is set to become our new signing. But my friends, before you get your hopes up, before you start thinking about him competing alongside Noni Madueke for next season, he's only been signed to become part of our multi-club network. Now, I suggest you guys watch yesterday's video that I released late last night, where I discuss Rafa Marin of Real Madrid, because right now the strategy is to sign great young players for affordable fees that have that potential to maybe become part of our first team or our squad, or maybe get sold on for a great profit. And I think signings like this in this window are going to be really exciting. And for a long time I've wanted us to have more of like a feeder club to be able to sign players of this type of potential, create the pathways for them, create the healthy environments for these guys to potentially succeed in, and then who knows what type of talents we have access to in the future. So right now, is Gabriel Angelo set to follow in the footsteps of great Santos players like, Pele, Rodrigo, Robinho, and of course Neymar too? I guess this is the time for me to give you guys a player analysis to give you more insight behind this game and my personal expectations behind how far this kid can go in the game. Now, I'll give you guys some insight behind how I'm up to date with hearing about players like this. Obviously, I'm fortunate that this is my full-time job. I follow a ton of accounts on Twitter. I'm signed up to tons of magazines and news sites. And I think I first heard about this kid when he's the youngest scorer in the Copa Libertadores. He got his first goal at 16 years old, and he actually made his debut for Santos when he was 15 years old, 308 days, 11 days earlier than Pele himself. So since then, he's now 18 years old. He's accumulated over 129 appearances for Santos. His goal return isn't that amazing though. Right now this season, his assist record isn't that great. Last season, at a younger age, he got 8 assists, which isn't too bad for a 17-year-old. Now, in terms of his game, he predominantly plays down the right wing. He's left-footed. There's been a few times he's played up front or on the left, or even as an attacking mid. Now, let me break down his strengths and his weaknesses, in my opinion. I'm only a football nerd. I'm not a qualified scout, but for me, I'd say his main strengths for sure are his pace. I mean, the guy is explosive. He's explosive in those first few meters. That creates the separation for space, which is key. But most importantly, he can carry the ball over distances. He can carry your team up the field. And if you think about counter-attacking situations, right? You want a winger that is able to lead that counter-attack, because if he's doing that, your teammates around you then can start making runs off the ball to try and damage the opposition's organization, right? So he definitely has that. He can take his man on the outside, he can cut inside, and also he can roam in field. He's a very dynamic type of player where he can improvise on the spot. And I feel one of the best things about him is that left foot. I mean, the guy really is a top quality dribbler. I'm going to discuss his weaknesses afterwards, in my opinion. But in terms of that dribbling ability, I think it's a very special skill. I mean, the ball is glued to his left foot. He can change direction on the fly. He has the close control on the footwork too, to dribble in tight spaces. And you know what? In terms of how he dribbles and plays, it does kind of show some resemblance to a Ousmane Dembele, in the sense of how he can keep his body open as he's running at quick speeds. The change of direction, just like that. Very unpredictable as well too. The guy definitely isn't a Neymar. And for Neymars, these guys are once every generation type of players. Who else does it like him? Absolutely no one. That's why there's only one Neymar. But I am seeing dribbling similarities a Ousmane Dembele or a Rodrigo from Real Madrid. He has really good agility, and I think when he runs on the ball, it does kind of remind me a little bit of a Martinelli in that sense, but maybe a bit more fluid in that sense. But other qualities he has in his game, that left foot is good. I feel he has a nice weight of pass. And you see that when he plays his reverse balls in behind. You can see that when he's playing balls over the top. And he has a good range of technique to his passing game. You can play those far post crosses, the near post ones. He can loft them over the top too. And it is hard to predict what his next move is going to be. But of course, in terms of the weaknesses, of course he's young. The decision making isn't fully there. At times he can over dribble when he should be releasing the ball to a teammate or passing. And even though I said that he has some unpredictability in his dribbling game, you know, if you're overly like dribbling all the time, you do become a bit predictable, and teams can kind of like put you into certain zones where, you know, you're less dangerous compared to other zones. He's like exclusively left-footed, you know, he can't use his right foot at all. And of course, he can kind of drift out of games as well too, you know, which is maybe a bit normal for guys his age. But you know, I feel like with all these weaknesses alongside that, the overall rawness in his game still, even though he's played like over 100 games already, he isn't ready to challenge with the first team at all. Like, he won't be competing alongside Noni Madueke at all. And like, if Noni is like a higher ceiling, Noni is still a player that, again, his decision making can be a bit off when he should be releasing the ball instead, or he is over dribbling, or you know what I mean. So it really tells you the levels right now. But own a talent like this for this type of price. Like, we can afford to take the risk, right? And it's quite obvious that he has to become part of the multi-club network strategy now. But I'm even thinking to myself, is he ready to move to Ligue 1? I'm not too sure about that. Now, we do know that we're very close now to capturing another club for our network, and that potentially is set to become Rio Ave. And obviously, if you're signing a Brazilian player like this, it's an easier integration into Europe because you're going to Portugal where you can still speak your native language. You're learning a new way of playing. You're learning a new way to be a pro. You're getting used to life in Europe as well too. And for me, it's about stages. If he excels at Rio Ave potentially, then you consider moving him to Strasbourg in Ligue 1. And if he maintains that, then you assess the player afterwards. Okay, is this guy good enough to even be a squad player? Can he compete in the first team? Or do we cash in on him right now as his value's now gone up? I think these are the possibilities that can happen. Like, you can never really know all the time how certain players are going to be. Sometimes you can, but not every single time. But for me, this is why I'm really open to this new strategy we're seeing at this club, because, you know, signing talents like this, taking like gambles on players like this, you know, we can afford to do that. And I feel like this kid does have special qualities to his game, and with the right coaching, which I think is really key right now. You know, Santos, they've kind of been falling off recently. You know, they have become a mid-table club now for the past 4 years. Most of their players aren't really performing, and you know, sometimes from what I've read from Santos fans' accounts, it seems like some of them can be a bit cynical, which is like the universal thing for like the average football fan, right? Oh, he should be affecting the game more, getting more assists and goals. You know, I get it. He's been playing like since he was like 15, 16. But it's never that simple. Sometimes you need the right structures to really show what you can do. And it does feel like he won't learn anything more now remaining at Santos. So of course, signing for us, becoming part of our network is probably the best thing for his career at this point in time. Like when we sign guys like Lucas Piazon, like this guy looked like a real talent when he was first breaking through. But we had no real pathways to properly develop him. And it's no surprise why he did kind of fall off in the end, right? And it's kind of ironic because I think the last time I heard of him, he was playing at Rio Ave, and they are the club we're hoping to sign. So I think I'm a lot more hopeful now for talents that we buy from South American markets, because we're actually building the infrastructure to properly integrate them into life in Europe and hopefully create these proper development paths for these guys to achieve their potential, because that's what I hated under the last regime. I think it's quite unethical when your strategy is just signing young players after young players and then having no proper development pathways for these guys to have a fair opportunity to achieve their potential. Like when you're doing that for guys who are so young because the business strategy is, oh, you know, we can afford to, they cost us nothing, and then you don't really care. It don't sit right with me, in my opinion. But already at a very young age, I think that these are the type of talents that we should be focusing our attentions on, because, you know, how many teens in the world have played over 100 games in their career? That is a rare thing. And you know that he's learned a lot, but right now, better coaching, new league, new environment is the thing for him to keep on growing and learning and learning. So my friends, how do you feel about this news? Are you excited? What's your opinions after watching the clips too? How do you feel? Of course, it's always nice to be linked with a Brazilian winger. The last one we had was Kennedy, and like I said earlier, we had no plan for this guy. And then we signed a player who I thought might be the next Hulk, and then we started playing him as a left back and a left wing back, and Oh yeah, it feels like we're not going to be making those stupid mistakes anymore, so I'm happy with that. But my friends, I'm going to bounce, keep things moving. There's going to be another video coming out later today. And with Kai Havertz now set to be announced by Arsenal, I had to do a video talking about his time here and whether we did justice to Kai or whether Kai flopped himself. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that one. And yeah, I'm the EFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.